Welcome right to the fifth of these overviews of WCW in TEW 2020 as we're going through 2005. And again, the last of these will be 2006 up until August, and then hopefully by that point I'll have everything converted and ready over for 2006 and get everything started back in TW9. But let's go rolling with 2005. And of course, the year began with Rob Van Dam riding high as the world champion after beating Shane Helms at Starrcade. He had a rematch against Helms at Showdown in the Sun, had a big win over Jeff Jarrett at Super Bowl 15 in February, then took on Monty Brown at Rising Sun Revolution in Japan. Then there was a huge triple threat match between three of the best in the world as Van Dam took on Eddie Guerrero and Canyon at Wrestle War 2005. But then, after RVD got the win after a tough 20-minute plus match, that's when Kidman ran in and, cashed in his called shot, beating Rob Van Dam, and becoming the new WCW World Champion, backed up by the rest of the Triumvirate, including Mike Awesome and Lance Storm. This led to a rematch against Rob Van Dam at Slamboree 2005 and 2003 Falls match, which Kidman won and retained the title. And it was during this time period that basically Triumvirate held all the gold, at least for a little while, as Kidman held the world title, Storm and Awesome had the tag titles, which I'll go deeper in later. Awesome held the US title, and Lance Storm was the TV champion. Then Booker continued to take on the best as he took on Booker at Great American Bash and then beat Kanyon at Bash at the Beach. But of course, his old partner, his old best friend, and his old enemy, Rey Mysterio Jr., who took the title off of Kidman at Mayhem 2005 in August. But only a month later, Chuck Palumbo, who had, after beating Sean O'Haire at Starrcade, had continued, to dominate things including getting big wins over men like over AJ Styles and getting the number one seed in the Mayhem tournament and almost getting to the finals of said Mayhem tournament. Getting to the finals of the Mayhem tournament and almost winning it, including getting a big win over Goldberg as part of that tournament. Won the belt, and then had the rematch against Goldberg at Halloween Havoc, beating him again. Took on Paul London and Brother Ray at Non Glory 2005 in the first 100 of the save, shockingly. But then, at Starrcade, Chuck Palumbo dropped the title to the biggest rising star in WCW as AJ Styles had slowly risen through the ranks and finally done it at Mayhem 2005, where he won the Mayhem tournament, and then got a huge win over Kidman at Fall Brawl, and then at Halloween Havoc won at Halloween Havoc, Styles called a shot at Starrcade, won a 4-way at Bound for Glory to retain his Starrcade title shot, and then at Starrcade in Classic, after nearly 20 minutes, nailed Palumbo with a Styles Clash and became the new WCW World Champion, and ended the year as a new era beginning, the AJ Styles era in WCW. But of course, that's not the only thing going on among the top stars, so let's get rolling with that. Of course, other top stars had their own things going on. Goldberg, of course, as I noted, during the back of the year, got back focused on the world title, but first he had to deal with Don Fry, who arrived at WCW, attacking him after Goldberg was confronted by Randy Savage, who had become a color commentator for Revolution, but showed up randomly, on a pay-per-view to confront him. But then, that led to a short feud where Goldberg, did lose once, but then got the win back. He then got focused on a feud with Eddie Guerrero over the summer, which eventually led to the feud with Chuck Palumbo, which, as I noted, as part of the main tournament, he lost, but then got the title shot and lost again, unfortunately. And then he got involved with a feud with Shane Helms near the end of the year, which I'll go deeper when we get to Shane Helms' year. But sort of like an up and down year. Obviously, he was still a top guy, but he wasn't like sort of the focus of the top of the card as much. And speaking of somebody who's no longer at the top of the card as much, Eddie Guerrero, him and Kanyon on Nitro almost immediately got involved in a major feud. At Super Bowl 15, they had a great match that went to a double countout. They eventually, as part of Slamboree, they at Slamboree, we had a world title match, as noted, which involved the then world champion, not at Wrestle War, defending against Eddie and Kane at the same time after their double countout. And that led to a huge cage match at Slamboree, which Kanyon got the win and eventually led to a world title match for him against Kidman, which he lost. But as that was happening, Eddie was getting involved in his feud with Goldberg, and eventually near the end of the year, Eddie had some interesting feuds with Sean O'Haire, which he eventually got a bit of revenge over O'Haire surpassing him with a win at Halloween Havoc. But then he got then involved with a feud with Jack Evans, who had shockingly beat him during the Mayhem tournament, and that led to a huge match at Starrcade, where for the second year in a row, Eddie did a big job to a rising star, as after losing to AJ Styles at the last Starrcade, he lost to Jack Evans at this Starrcade. And then, like I said, after as far as canon goes, he had a world title match at Bash at the Beach and was heading towards a fall feud with Don Fry, but a legitimate injury to Fry meant an open challenge at Halloween Havoc, beating Jonathan Toro, and then 2 wins over Mike Awesome and Alex Wright at pay-per-views in the year. Again, Kanon's still a top guy, but just didn't have the opportunities to be part of the top tier, even though like the Kanon Eddie feud was one of the better feuds of the year, and the Kanon Kidman match was great at Bash at the Beach. The tag team division really took, in a way, a step up as part of the year, as we started out with Macias and Morningstar as the tag champs to start the year, but America's Most Wanted knocked them down with the help of the arrival of Raven. Then we had America's Wanted defending the titles against teams like Jindrak and Divine at Super Brawl, Lance Storm, Mike Awesome at Rising Sun Revolution, Shane Helms and Titus Tomko, which I'll go deeper into at Wrestle War 2005. But then there was Assault of Anarchy 2 at Slamboree 2005, which Lance Storm and Mike Awesome walked out of with the tag team belts as they took on America's Most Wanted, the champions at the time, the Heart Legacy, and Ninkyo of Kaz and Yang, which were formed during the year as Yang turned on Tajiri and teamed with Kaz with Stacy Keibler as her manager, which was let's just say Izuka gimmick without saying Izuka gimmick. But then, Storm and Awesome, after winning the tag titles, took on America's Most Wanted in a rematch, and they got the win at Great American Bash. And then part of a basically open challenge they were forced to doing on Revolution in July, Jeff Hardy made his return alongside his brother Matt Hardy, coming over from the WWF, and they won the tag titles in July, beat Helms and Tomko at Bash at the Beach 2005. Storm and Awesome got the rematch and a win at August 2005. Brandon Chavo got a win in September. Got a win over Brandon Chavo Guerrero Jr., former tag team champions, at a September Nitro, which led to Alex Wright's heel turn, which I'll go into deeper later on. And they got a big win over America's Wanted again at Fall Break 2005. But then at Halloween Havoc 2005, Ninkyo took the tag titles, and then we had a bit of a bouncing belts as America's Wanted won the belts at Revolution at November. But then at Bound for Glory in a triple threat match, Ninkyo won the belts for the second time. But then as part of Starrcade, there was a tag team turmoil as well. Hardy Boys and America's Wanted faced off in the opening match of the pay-per-view. There was a big tag team turmoil involving teams like two Rev and Zest teams, which led to Morningstar leaving. But in the end, Booker and Shelton teamed up and defeated Ninkyo at Starrcade to end the year as the tag team champions. Then there was the US division, which was just as interesting, as basically Jonathan Toro began the year as champion and faced off after retaining the title against Rey Mysterio Jr. He defeated the Truth at Showdown in the Sun, but then at Super Bowl, Alex Wright took the belt from him, and then Wright had a strong run throughout the spring, defeating Jamie Noble at Rising Sun Revolution, Jason Jett at Wrestle War 2005, and even Cash at Slamboree 2005. But of course, as part of the strong Triumvirate push, Mike Awesome won the belt at a Nitro in June. He defeated Chavo Jr. at Bash at the Beach 2005 as part of Triumvirate running Nitro. But then, in a bit of a shocker, the Truth won the belt at a Nitro in September. And then the Truth had a mini feud with Triumvirate, defeating Storm at Fall Brawl, and then defeating Mike Awesome at Halloween Havoc. And then, after Alex Wright turned heel, Alex Wright won after the Truth, but Truth won the match. But the Truth dropped the title to Mark Jindrak at a Nitro in December with the help of the Chosen Few, which was part of the wider Babyfaces versus Chosen Few feud, which I'll go in deeper. But that led to Starrcade, where Paul London defeated Mark Jindrak to end the year as the US champion. And then there was the Deadpool and Raven and everything else in between, as Raven basically made his debut as a mystery man, basically causing the lights to go out, attacking Deadpool as part of Showdown in the Sun, causing them to drop the tag team titles, and then Raven eventually revealed himself, trying to take control of Macias, and that went back and forth throughout the spring, including as part of Wrestle War, Macias taking on Raven, and Macias went after Raven after the match, but Raven spit missed, and Macias destroyed Morningstar. This led to Slamboree, where Morningstar revealed K. Graves as his backup against this now, turn against Macias. And this feud continued all throughout the spring and the summer, as as we had more members of both sides growing. As on the side of Raven's Nest, we had the Prophet arrive, and we had the Seekers of Sin arrive on the side of Morningstar as part of the Deadpool, and all this led to Fall Brawl, or not, sorry, not yet, sorry. All this led to Halloween Havoc, a War Games. On one side, we had Raven, Messias, Prophet, and Mystery Man, which ended up being centered in sort of a one-shot, taking on the Deadpool of Morningstar, Kai Grace, Rothschild, and Killswitch, with Sting as a special enforcer. And the stipulation was pretty simple. Whoever lost would have to kneel to the winners. And in the end, Raven's Nest won, and Morningstar had to kneel to Raven, as the other members of the Deadpool was quietly written off TV. But things weren't over yet. As part of Starrcade, there was a tag team turmoil match, and Morningstar and Prophet defeating the Evolution team of Blaster, Lashley, and Claudio Cesaro, backed by Ric Flair. But then it was up against Messias and Raven, and Raven basically told him, to stand down. Morningstar refused and walked out. And he is, that's how 2006 starts, with Morningstar gone, but Messias still under the control of Raven. And the Deadpool is gone, but now perhaps a more dangerous form is in control, with Raven and the Nest looking to make their mark on WCW. And that was one battle going on Nitro. Another Nitro going over was the war between Brother Ray and Jeff Jarrett. As the rest of the Chosen Few took on Brother Ray, and Brother Ray got back up in the form of the Truth. And all throughout the year, Brother Ray and Jarrett had multiple big matches, which all led to a huge steel cage match at Halloween Havoc, where Brother Ray finally got the big win over Jarrett. And honestly, this was sort of a way to keep somebody really over, like Jarrett, involved in a big feud, but not involved in a world title feud quite yet. Jindrak and Divine, like I mentioned, got some tag title shots, and Jindrak ended with the U.S. title by the end of the year, but he dropped the title to Paul London. And also, as part of the year, we had Brother Ray taking on Kidman for the #1 draft pick for either Nitro or Revolution at Starrcade, with Kidman getting the win, which made Brother Ray, sort of upset, talking about disrespect, as 2006 began. But not everybody had great years. Not all these years were like terrible, but they were sort of disappointing. And there are different kinds of disappointing. Shane Helms basically he was no longer at the top. He had his rematch against Rob Van Dam at Showdown in the Sun, but then he moved on to the tag division, bringing in Titus Tomko as his new backup. They eventually got 2 title shots as one of the leading heel teams at Wrestle War and Bash at the Beach, but the Bash at the Beach match ended shockingly with the return of Reno, who had been basically turfed out as part of the draft at the beginning of the year, with Cash turning on Reno, telling him was under boss's orders. But also as part of the pay-per-view, like I noted, the Hardy Boys, as part of the feud, we had the return of Reno, causing them to lose the tag title shot. This led to a short feud as Helms and Tomko went over Reno's and the returning Gigantes. Basically, I was giving them a shot, and turned out they weren't that great, so Helms and Tomko quickly went over them. But then, as part of the Mayhem tournament, Shane Helms shockingly lost to Jack Evans. Let me actually double check that live, because I'm like 95% sure that was the booking. No, yeah, Jack Evans beat Shane Helms shockingly at the Mayhem pay-per-view, putting him into the finals and Shane Helms out of it, which sort of like caused Shane Helms goes a little crazy. And eventually that led to Goldberg getting involved in a feud with Tomko, and then Shane Helms attacking Goldberg along with Tomko, which set up, Helms wanting to kill the Ultimate Legend. But unfortunately, Goldberg is not DDP, Kevin Nash, or other legends. He's freaking Goldberg. So despite interference from Titus Tomko, Goldberg got the big win over Shane Helms as the year ended. For another sort of worse year, Jonathan Toro. Jonathan Toro was partly bad booking by me and partly just really bad luck, as he dropped the title in US in February, as mentioned, which was like just set up, But then he got a feud with Sean O'Haire, which was sort of supposed to make him, but we ran into things. So O'Haire's kind of degradation from the top of the card, bad chemistry. So basically, and really, like, I had enough top tier stables, so the Roman Legion quietly went off TV throughout most of the spring and summer, while I figured out a way for it to get him back. But then Halloween Havoc, I need somebody to step in when Don Frye got injured, So he showed up, but then he's basically been, doing not much of a note, and he may be up for rework in 2006, as people have been following along knows. And there's Keenan Sharp. See, Keenan Sharp didn't really have a bad year. He was just on the fringes. He had one major feud with Ken Anderson, which ended in an I Quit match at Rising Sun Revolution, but he was still a major part of the Revolution roster throughout the year, getting involved in big matches against guys like Rob Van Dam and AJ Styles, Paul Lynn, and others. But unfortunately, he just never got that opportunity to be on part of a big show, including being on Starrcade. And speaking, I didn't include him here because he's just going back to the world title. But of course, after Rob Van Dam lost the world title, another big thing was as part of Bash at the Beach, there was a big four-way match where the winner would get the number one seed and a bye, but the loser would not be part of the tournament. And shockingly, Chuck Limbo got the win and actually pinned Rob Van Dam. Or sorry, this was part of Great American Bash, not Bash at the Beach. And this led to Rob Van Dam getting very upset, being part of the Van Dam tournament, and eventually introducing Paul Heyman as his advocate, coming over the WWF. Rob Van Dam turned heel throughout most of the through the rest of the year, feuded with guys like Paul London, eventually partly against to a certain extent against his former friend like Ray Mysterio Jr., which led to two big matches against Ray Jr. at Bound for Glory and Starrcade, and in both of those matches, in the first, Rob Van Dam got 2 straight wins over him, started setting up as a top heel and possible contender for the newly crowned world champion AJ Styles at the start of the year. Cruiserweight division, I'm not going to be afraid here. Basically, it was sort of like I would say like a placeholder, but a placeholder. Michinoku had won the title at the Cruiserweight Ignition match at Super Bowl. He lost the title to Matt Sydal. Sydal had wins over people like Austin Aries and Prince Jose, but eventually Reckless Roberts won the title in June, held the title through most of the year against people like Romeo Rossi and Matt Sydal. But then at Starrcade, as part of a four-way High Wire Havoc, aka Ultimate X match, Maverick Chance, aka Matt Cross, won the match and taken the title into the new year. Then there's women's division. Trish Sky being the year's champion, so defending her title against Gail Kim at Super Bowl 15, and also having big matches against people like Joni Lawler, Angel Fox, and Lexi James. Gail Kim got the win over Trish Sky at Rising Sun Revolution, had a mini feud with Celine Cartier over the spring, including a big match against at Slamboree. Trish Sky won the title back in an Iron Man match at Great American Bash. She had a big title defense against Lacey Dumas, aka Lita, at Mayhem, defeated Joni Lawler again at Fall Brawl, but then Nikita Colt, who had basically been busy with the tag division for most of the year, came through, won the title at Bound for Glory 2005, and then retained the title against Trish Sky, Gail Kim, and Joni Lawler in the first women's ladder match in WWE history at Starrcade 2005, and ends the year as a strong heel champion. And speaking of that tag division, of course, as I noted, the women's tag team titles were crowned at Rising Sun Revolution, with Nikita Colt and Christina Busick, aka European Disunion, defeating My Name is Toyota and Kyoko Inoue in a sort of decision match. They defeated teams like Roni Jonah and Lila Vevez, and Celine Cartier and Alyssa Alexander, aka Cheerleader and Melissa, before the party girls of the social scene of Annie Vidal and Nikki Roxx won the titles at Revolution in September 2005. And this led to a feud for the social scene against Captivation. Captivation had been created by Lacey Dumas with her rival in WCW at the end of 2004, as she teamed up with Lexi James and Angel Fox. They had a mini feud, including a big glitz and glam match against Lexi James and Lacey Dumas, but also as part of Captivation. After losing a women's War Games match at Fall Brawl 2005, they turned on Angel Fox, turning her back babyface and bringing in Desiree Dawkins as a new member of it. But the year still ended was seen at the top of the tag division, Captivation Rising, and other young talent like Alyssa Alexander, Nikki Roxx, Celine Cartier, and others, all looking to make their moment. So that's it. Of course, there's other stuff going on, but watch the shows if you want to know more. But this is a good overview. But if you enjoyed this, go and give it a like. Comment below what you're liking and not liking. And subscribe to the channel for one more recap at the end of the week. And then next week, TEW 9, WCW. Let's see how it goes. That's for now. Talk to you later, and adios. Have a good one.